Welcome to SveNFL.
What's up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Schif and Sarah.
Two Americans living in Sweden talking about football. Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. There was some football this weekend.
Week 8's in the books. I'm in America. I got to watch the games here, man. It's such a difference, man.
Yeah, week 8 is in the books, and we got a lot of quarterbacks fucking in the hospital or fucking, walking around in boots and shit. I mean, dudes dropping like flies this week.
Yeah, man. It really hurt my heart when I found out that Kirk Cousins went down.
Mm-hmm.
With Achilles, like, why so many Achilles now?
I don't know, man. I mean, he's old.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I heard somebody today talk about how crazy it would have been, because obviously Aaron Rodgers goes down with the Achilles after 4 snaps, and there was all these rumors about the Jets trading to get Kirk Cousins. Can you imagine if he had gone there and popped his Achilles there? It would have been like, what? Okay. All right, Jets, you got me. You are cursed at that point.
Yeah, man. Ooh, I can't wait to talk about that game, but want to get right into it? Talk about the games?
Let's do it. Let's start with Thursday Night Football, where the Bills beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 24-18. I don't know about you, man, but for me, this was kind of a win as a win, I guess you could say. I mean, the Bills did a good job of getting off to a better start.
3 points in the first quarter.
I mean, they got better in the second quarter, but they kind of went to sleep in the second half and allowed the Bucs to crawl back into this game, and damn near could have blown it. That failed Hail Mary at the end, which, I mean, if you go back and watch it, I'm a little surprised there was no flag for pass interference.
Well, they hardly throw those, but they also, man, hit the balls is there.
I know, and the guy turns around. He just turned around a little too late.
Yeah.
And he didn't see it. But the pass interference, I know that they don't usually call pass interference on those plays, but at the same time, if you go back and watch the tape, I mean, tight end for the Bucs, Cade Otton, got literally bracketed by 2 defenders who were like bear hugging him from opposite sides and just like pushing him away from the ball. It's like, what's happening here? Crazy.
The league has an agenda, man. What more can I say?
Yeah. I mean, speaking of agenda, I guess you mean Josh Allen. I mean, he did look more like himself in this one in the first half. And by that, I mean that he wasn't just out there throwing darts. He was out there running the ball. There was a lot of chatter in the offseason about how the Bills coaches wanted him to run the ball less. And I'm starting to wonder if this is why he seems a little off sometimes, like they want him to be something that he's not. And you understand why. Obviously, you don't want him to get hurt. But at the same time, it's like, you can't change this guy's DNA. He is who he is,
Yeah. Yeah, man. You'll never win with him. Just remember that. You know what they want him to be? They want him to be gold, but he is not.
Not all that glitters is gold. Am I right? Am I right?
But White Gino, he tried,
He did, but the Bucs continue to struggle to run the ball.
Yeah.
And in this one where they had some issues in their passing game as well. I mean, when running back Rachaad White is your leading receiver, something definitely didn't go according to plan. Not much to talk about in this game, but I would like to give a special shout out to my man, former Bulldog Jake Camarda, the Bucs punter, who was out here swinging helmets at a dude. You see this play?
No, I didn't see that.
There's a bit of a kerfuffle, and then all of a sudden Jake Camarda takes his helmet off and swings it at a dude.
Oh, shit.
Not sure why he didn't get flagged for that. He may get fined later. I mean, when Myles Garrett did this shit, the league acted like the sky was falling. You know what I mean? And
he took the guy's own helmet.
that was like kind of sneaky, maybe one of my favorite NFL moments since we started this podcast. Like, I mean, that's pretty badass. I'm going to beat you with your own helmet. That's really awesome. Yeah. Speaking of getting beat with beat with your own helmet, I mean, the Cowboys just put one on the LA Rams.
Man, I'm in Texas, right? So the audio that was playing in the sports bar was audio from the Cowboys game, but we're watching on other games. You know what I mean? Other people are watching other games, and it felt like the guy never stopped saying touchdown. Oh my God, what a play! It was just like nonstop highlights in that game. I felt bad for it. It was like 30 something. I was like, they're gonna catch that Dolphins 70 points if they keep at this pace.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they kind of took their foot off the gas eventually. Cowboys won 43-20 against the Rams. Coming into this one, CeeDee Lamb was complaining a lot about the lack of targets and having only caught one touchdown pass all season. The Cowboys' so-called Texas Coast offense decided maybe we should throw the ball to the guy who's supposed to be our best weapon. 14 targets, 12 catches, 158 yards, and 2 touchdown grabs. So, maybe they should try to keep doing that if they want a little more consistency in their offense. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think so. And it's put up or shut up time. You know what I mean? We just had a wide receiver being called out for being a third-tier wide receiver, and he responded with some negativity. And then now we get somebody who's like, make me the star, and he shows you how it's done and went out there and proved it on the field. So it's pretty dope to see.
On the Rams side of the ball, the defense looked really good in the very beginning. I thought they sacked Dak Prescott like 2 or 3 times on the first drive, but it kind of unraveled from there. And to make matters worse, my man, former Bulldog Matthew Stafford, was forced to leave the game after banging up his thumb on another player's helmet, following through. So here's the weird thing about Stafford's thumb injury. So he bangs his thumb on a dude's helmet, following through on the pass. He stays in the game. Bangs it again, basically doing the same thing, throwing a touchdown pass, stays in the game. But it wasn't until, they said this in the press conference, it wasn't until they ran this trick play where Skoranek throws a pass to Stafford for the 2-point conversion. He catches it, but the pass was so bad that he had to brace his fall with his right hand. And that was actually like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like that was the part that made him have to come out of the game. Oddly enough,
I bet he's like, man, if I would have stayed in that game, we would have won, man.
Please, no, absolutely not.
They should have taken him out after the first bang.
Yeah. The Cowboys were the better team. I think it's a little weird that they still can't run the ball, but I don't know. They won. What are you going to do?
But you also have Aaron Donald in the middle.
True.
Like just salivating.
Fair point. Dallas's defense did a great job of bottling up Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. What's his name? Deron Bland? Is that his name? 3rd pick 6 of the season for the Cowboys.
Yeah, man.
So that helps when your defense can do that.
On to the next game. The Vikings beat the Packers 24-10. Packers did not really show up for this one.
No, they didn't.
And Vikings are on a nice little run, man. It's unfortunate that we won't see this team reach its full potential.
It's true because, I mean, the Vikings, obviously, you love that, for their sake that they win the game, but the takeaway is obviously losing Kirk Cousins for the season. I mean, talk about throwing a monkey wrench into the impending trade deadline, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And looking even further ahead, I mean, Cousins, he's on the last year of his deal, not expected to re-sign with the Vikings, which means, I mean, this game might be the last time you see Kirk Cousins in a Vikings uniform. That's crazy.
Shout out to him, though, for he opened the gate with his he's the first fully guaranteed contract.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
So
which Deshaun Watson followed up and did a great job with it too. So
Man, my shoulder, man. It's raining. It's raining. I can't play today. No,
it feels like a real shame because it really felt like Cousins was starting to turn the Viking seasons around and doing so without Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, before he got hurt, everybody was kind of firing on all cylinders. KJ Osborne, Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, everybody was playing great. But then after he left, we got introduced to Vikings backup Jaron Hall.
Yeah. J Hall, baby.
Arguably didn't really have to do that much because he came in the fourth quarter, but he did
75%.
He did go a near perfect 3 for 4, 23 yards. So there's that. Maybe there is hope in Minnesota. The Packers, I don't even think are really worth talking about, honestly. I'm not saying that Jordan Love can't be a starting quarterback, but I am saying that once teams got a little more game tape, he certainly has come down to earth. Does he have another level to his game? I have no idea. My guess is no. But,
I got to guess. I guess they should run the ball more than 13 times.
Yeah.
Or
that's a good guess.
If you count Jordan Love, then it's 17 times.
True.
He's throwing the ball 41 times. Like, it's not like they were getting blown out. They were losing big at the beginning, but
yeah. I mean, for me, this is really more about what are the Vikings going to do? I mean, do you just switch back into yard sale mode and start stripping the team for parts, or do you desperately try to hang on to this momentum and replace Cousins with there's a lot of guys out there. You got Andy Dalton, you got Jacoby Brissett, Jameis Winston, Davis Mills, Colt McCoy, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz. All these guys you could probably get any of them for a 4th round pick. Wentz is a free agent, so that's just a cap space issue. Matt Ryan is sitting up in the CBS booth. It's like, there are things that you could do, and you have a couple of days to figure it out. So it's like, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what they choose to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be. Fascinating,
Yeah. On to the next game where one team certainly knows exactly what they're going to do with their quarterback moving forward. Jesus Christ, my Falcons, what are you doing here? You lose 23-28 to the Tennessee Titans in those sick Houston Oilers throwback uniforms. Those were dope as hell. Yeah. My main fear going into this game was that the Falcons would find a way to lose to a second-round rookie with a very mediocre college career in his first NFL start. And as a Falcons fan, I can say that the line that separates fear from reality is so razor thin that it might as well not exist. I mean, this kid lit us up. I mean, he just lit us up. He was really, really good. And the way the ball leaves his hand is like, oh my God, like what are we doing here?
It seemed like an NFL quarterback. He passed the eye test for me.
For sure. However, I will say this. I mean, I watched him a lot in college, and he's one of these kids who, he does. He kind of he passes the eye test for sure. But that same ability he has to fucking hit guys going deep is gonna start translating into interceptions at some point. I would literally be willing to put money on it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna start turning into interceptions. And then, of course, DeAndre Hopkins has 3 touchdown catches in this game. But I would like to – I mean, whatever. I'm not saying that, the reason why the Falcons lose football games is usually a multitude of reasons. But that first touchdown catch, I'm sorry, but how is that not offensive pass interference? I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has got A.J. Terrell in a headlock. Yeah. I'm like, what are we doing here? Where's the fucking flag, bro?
Yeah, man. Offense gets all the love, man.
That was so obvious. Ridder fumbled the ball away again.
What?
Yeah. He goes out to get evaluated for a concussion, clears protocol, but Arthur Smith decides to roll with Taylor Heineke, who
They're like, he must be concussed.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think Heineke looked better than Ridder. He's more mobile. He was able to get out of the pocket as it started to collapse. I mean, Ridder got sacked 5 times in less than a half, while Heineke only got sacked once, and he put up 20 points in the second half. So, you know, I'm not sitting here saying we can win a Super Bowl with Taylor Heineke, but I do think that they should make him the starting quarterback moving forward.
Damn. So you're completely out on Ridder?
Yeah.
Damn.
Absolutely.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. Your division rival, Saints, were supposed to lose. And they won.
I like to call this the Taysom Hill Remember Me game.
Yeah.
And I guess this is what I get for talking shit about the Saints' dysfunctional offense, because these bitches came out and put on a show. Carr was quite good. Kamara looked like vintage Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, man.
Barreling his way into the end zone. Taysom Hill had 2 rushing touchdowns, and Rashid Shaheed, good Lord, 3 targets, 3 catches, 153 yards and a touchdown.
Averaging 51 a catch. That's crazy.
Which, to be fair, I mean, honestly, think about it. It's a pretty weird stat. Like, I get it. It's good. It looked great. But if I'm a Saints fan, am I really sitting here thinking this is going to happen every week? I mean,
yes,
that's absurd. But see,
Saints
that's the problem with Saints fans. It's so delusional. They're like, what? Just throw it to Rashid Shaheed 3 times. We're good. Yeah. Minshew had an up and down day. 1 minute he looks good. The next minute he looks like a crazy person.
It's the Gardner Minshew experience, man.
I think it's time to stop splitting snaps between Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss.
Bruh.
I know Zach Moss scored, but Taylor clearly looks like the better running back.
Yeah, man.
To me, this is 2 teams that I just can't trust, right?
Yeah.
Somebody had to win. It had to be the Saints. They dropped 38 points on the Colts this week, and then they'll come out next week and kick 2 field goals. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what the fuck to think of either one of these teams.
They dropped 38 on the Browns last week.
I know, but I'm just saying they have the ability to just be terrible also.
Speaking of terrible, Mac Jones played. I was sitting behind a guy who's like a Patriots fan as we're watching the same screen. He hates Mac Jones. That guy he was what? And then the Jets game was on, and he was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want Zach Wilson or Mac Jones on my team, man, because Zach Wilson might be better than Mac Jones. If somebody says Zach Wilson might be better than your quarterback, you need to get him out of there. But the Patriots, they fought strong, man. They started out pretty strong. Tua threw the worst interception I think I've seen him throw. I think he I wrote to Ken that I think Tua assumes that his looking off works every time. So he's like, I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to look over here. He's going to fall for it. Then I'm going to throw it over here without even making sure that it works. And then he looks over here. The guy doesn't fall for it, looks and throws it right to the defender. It's like he's got to start, double checking.
Yeah, that one was not pretty.
Yeah, that was his one hiccup.
He made up for it. He more than made up for it.
Yeah, that pass to Tyreek Hill, who's just out of his mind. Tyreek Hill, it's so fun having him on my team. But Tua and him seem to be like, remember the underthrows before? Seemed like Tua's like, you know what? He can't be overthrown, so fuck it. And just launches the ball to the guy. It was fantastic.
Those hookups are so beautiful. I mean, the way he just drops him in a bucket, hits Tyreek in stride, and it's like, how do you defend it? And poor, what's his name? Is it J.C. Jackson?
Yeah.
The new he was with the Chargers a couple of weeks ago and gets torched by Tyreek, and now he's got to deal with him as a Patriot. It's like, oh man, like I got to play this bitch and 2 times, and man, it's not cool. Oh man, it wasn't even fair. Waddle had a day.
Waddle out here balling too, man. It was Waddle had some drops too. He could have had over 150 yards, man. He had a couple drops, and it was a fun game. It was good to see Jeff Wilson back into the lineup, and it's so fun to see Bill Belichick get outsmarted by Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they just did not have a good day. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. And then I think
we couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball.
That was Bill Belichick up there.
I think I saw right before we came on that Kendrick Bourne. Is it Kendrick Bourne?
Yeah, they got two receivers got hurt. Yeah, he blew his knee out. It looked like non-contact too. And then Parker had a concussion.
Kendrick Bourne, as far as what I just recently read, is done for the year. So
damn,
things go from bad to worse.
He was a bright spot for them too.
Mm-hmm. Well, now he is a dark skid mark. Speaking of skid marks, let's go to New York.
So just segue with the worst game of the week. This was ultimately
a shit bowl brought to you by XLEX.
We predicted it. It was that, and man,
what did we say? I was like, I don't care if the under is like 5. We're taking the under.
Yeah, we won on that bet for sure, man. Under.
And this is so funny, 35. Dude. This is one of those, and I've said this before. This is like if punters make you wet, this was the game for you. The play-by-play, fumble, field goal, punt, 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 touchdown, missed field goal, punt, 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 fumble, punt, punt, punt. And that's just the first half. That's the first half. These two teams combined for 24 total punts in this game. This is one of the worst football games ever. Ever. Okay? And then the quarterback stats are even funnier. After going 4 for 7 and 8 total yards passing, the Giants lost Tyrod Taylor in this game to, I think, a rib injury. And we were introduced to the most New York-sounding quarterback in the history of time. Tommy DeVito is the New York Giants' third-string quarterback. Tommy DeVito. Are you kidding
in
me?
A bar, in a New York Giants bar, somebody say, "Let's go, Tommy! Hey, Tommy!"
I mean, this guy sounds like some dude they just found on the sidewalk somewhere in Brooklyn, right? And he played like that too. I mean, you think Tyrod is bad. Tommy DeVito would like you to hold his beer because he went 2 for 7 for a whopping -9 yards of total offense.
Yeah, they just stopped going to him after a while.
And yet they were still in a position to win this game. It's mind-boggling. Yeah. I don't even know how that happens.
Mind-boggling.
And then to make matters worse, the poor Giants, I read this last night before I went to bed. The Giants got popped with the next-gen stats curse in this one. They had a 99.9% win probability with only a minute and change left to go in the fourth quarter. Graham Gano shanks a chip shot field goal. Zach Wilson somehow gets the Jets into field goal range, spikes the ball with 1 second left on the clock. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it in time. They tie the game, force overtime. Giants can't move the ball because Tommy DeVito is their quarterback. And then the Jets put him away with a game-winning field goal from Greg the Leg Zuerlein. I mean, this was a joke. This is an absolute joke.
And it looked like he missed that field goal.
He barely made it.
Yeah, barely. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Barely.
I thought he missed it. Everybody in the bar said he missed. And then it was like, nah, he missed.
Just barely hooked it in. And Zach Wilson was terrible in this game. Like, he got sacked a bunch of times, holding on to the ball too long as usual.
Shout out to Thibodeau. Thibodeau was a terror.
He was very good in this game.
Finally, right? We were talking about him before the season. He finally, he's hit his stride the last couple of games.
Yeah, for sure. This was a terrible football game. We shouldn't talk about it for another second.
No. Jaguars beat the Steelers. I thought the Steelers were going to win this game. I did not think we would see Mitch Trubisky, and we didn't get to see fourth quarter Kenny because that's when Kenny steps it up. But we did get a George Pickens sighting.
Bro. That was more than a George Pickens sighting.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. He made those guys run into each other while jumping over them to score a touchdown. Insane.
That was special. I mean,
just one catch. That's what he's like. I just need one. Let me get a catch.
Yeah. I mean, T-Law and his associates, I think, kind of rolled the Steelers in Pittsburgh in terrible weather, proving that the Jags can also win ugly.
Yeah.
Travis Etienne had a much better day than his brother did. His brother, who plays for the Florida Gators, got absolutely boat raced by the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs, which is not really relevant to this conversation. But yeah, Travis Etienne looked really good. But yeah, again, another quarterback goes down. Kenny Pickett gets sacked. He goes out with a rib injury. Trubisky comes in. And he did Mitch Trubisky things. He threw that great deep shot to George Pickens.
Not that deep, but then, 22 yards.
Yeah, but then Trubisky threw a couple of bad interceptions. So that's the Mitch Trubisky roller coaster ride. Steelers also lost Mika Fitzpatrick, which is kind of a big deal.
I saw that. That was really a non-contact injury, man. It looked like a hamstring, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long. I haven't seen an update on his injury, but that's like a sort of beating heart of your defense kind of dude right there. That's not going to be good. But yeah, the thing I walked away most impressed by was that the Jaguars could win in shit weather in Pittsburgh. Like that's a different kind of win you expect from a Jacksonville Jaguars team. So that's good for them.
Good for the Jags, man. And they're 6-2.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Eagles tried to be 6-2. Washington, they jumped out in front at first, and then the Eagles.
You put them on upset alert.
I had them on upset alert, man.
You had them on upset alert.
Yeah, they played.
And you were damn near right.
Yeah, they were. And then I was with an Eagles fan, watching together, and he was like stressed out, but they found a way to win in the end. That's all.
Because Hurts looks like, his knee looks a little weird to me.
Yeah,
like
he was limping around, yeah.
He's got some kind of knee thing going on. I mean, obviously it didn't stop him from throwing 4 touchdown passes, 2 of them to A.J. Brown, who continues to be
just throw that up, man.
An absolute weapon. He threw one to Devontae Smith and one to my man, former Falcon Julio Jones, for the game winner. Am I right?
Yeah, man.
On a day that was rough for us Falcons fans, it brought genuine joy into my heart seeing Julio Jones catch a touchdown pass. And then you got my man, former Bulldog DeAndre Swift, with a rushing touchdown as well, but that's not a big deal. A.J. Brown broke the record for most consecutive games with 125-plus receiving yards, previously held by Megatron Calvin Johnson. 6 straight games with over 125 receiving yards. He's not human. He's unreal.
Yeah, he's got the second most yards in the league, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's got the first?
I'm pretty sure it is your man, current Dolphin Tyreek Hill, who I think you failed to mention. I think they said on the broadcast, he's the fastest ever to break 1,000
yards.
Yards. That's absurd. Anyway, Commanders, what do you say? I mean, they showed some fight. Their offensive line had a good game. Sam Howell, who is getting sacked at a historic rate, was only sacked 1 time in this game. And while he did throw a pick, he threw 4 touchdown passes as well. Shout out to the Commanders D for being the first team to seemingly stop the Eagles' tush push.
I was going to say,
forcing a fumble. I was like, finally somebody figured this thing out.
No, they just botched the snap. That was
But then the funny thing is that the Eagles were like, okay, fine. A few drives later, they come back and they set up for the tush push, and then they pulled out and faked it, and then Hurts handed it off to Swift. That's how he got his touchdown. So they did like a fake tush push. I was like, okay, I see you, Eagles. I like it. That's smart.
They shouldn't have brought that one out yet. I guess they needed it. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably did, but you're right. It would have been cool to hang on to that for
he probably really wanted to. Was like, fuck, we got to win this game, man.
I know.
Because you can't. Then the teams can't commit like that. Oh man, that's crazy. Tush push is changing the game. The Carolina Panthers got out of that. They got a one in the win column.
The final winless team has finally won a game. I told you
they found out that we bet against them. They found out we bet against them, and then the worst team in the league against and they're an NFC team going against an AFC team, which we're all saying AFC's better. And it's another NFC beating AFC. This
is a concerning loss for the Texans, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming out of a bye. They didn't play super great in their last game before they went into the bye. And you're going up against a winless team with a chance to just really embarrass them. I don't know. I mean, both defenses played pretty well.
Yeah.
But this, again, was just a terrible football game, 13-15. I mean, what are we doing here? CJ Stroud struggled, only threw for 140 yards. They couldn't do much on the ground either. Bryce Young took a lot of sacks, but he just kept, like he always does. But he seems very resilient. He just kind of gets up and he just keeps trying to make plays. And I mean, Adam Thielen continues to defy reality. Like, it doesn't seem to make sense that he keeps who had that on their bingo card? Adam Thielen being a relevant receiver for the Carolina Panthers in 2023, not me. But yeah, I don't know what else to say other than like, good job. Maybe that's the only win you get all year. I don't know.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah.
The Seahawks beat the Browns. Black Baker. Nah, I think it was Geno showed up. Geno was balling.
This was a really interesting football game because the Seahawks were rolling early.
Yeah, at first,
But they let the Browns back into this one. It took a late touchdown pass from Geno to Jackson Smith and Jigba with only 38 seconds left to basically grab victory from the clutches of defeat, if you will.
Yeah.
Lot of turnovers. PJ Walker had a fumble and 2 picks. Geno had 2 picks.
Yeah.
But like I always say, not all turnovers are created equal. Timing always plays a factor. And PJ Walker's second pick deep in the fourth quarter with the lead, that was the one that allowed the Seahawks to put together that game-winning drive. Seahawks looking clean in those throwback unis. Oh, man, those were nice. Those were real nice.
Yeah. And they're 5-2 right now.
And they're also in first place in their division because there's another team who we will talk about soon that stumbled. Yeah, they stumbled.
Yet again.
Can you stumble if you're already stumbling? Like, aren't you? If you're in the midst of a stumble,
it's possible. If you ever watch a walkway, a runway show, when their heels go out, and then they just. When one of their heels go out and they try to keep their balance, that's what the 49ers are
if you stumble while you're stumbling, isn't that part of the original stumble, or is it just?
No, you can re-stumble. Re-stumble's possible.
So you can stumble, recover, and then stumble,
and then
again.
Stumble again. Yeah.
Right.
It's just stumble. Yeah. Right. The Browns, man. It seems like they just got to get their quarterback situation squared away. So maybe one day, Deshaun Watson's going to rediscover his love of football.
It's very confusing what's happening up there. The messaging is all off. It's like he says that it's ridiculous to insinuate that he doesn't want to play, and yet the messaging on the coach's side is not lining up with that. I don't know I honestly don't know what to make of it.
I really wonder if Stefanski was like pounding the table to get Deshaun Watson, or if that was like a general manager, front office brass type of decision. Because that was something really.
I think it was the owner. I think it was the owner.
That sucks if you like. I told you not to bring this guy here. Yeah. The craziest result of the day is the Denver Broncos beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know. I almost quit. Like podcasting. Like that's it. I've seen it all. They fucked up our parlay, which is it's like what? It's like what these teams all figure out who we bet on, and they're like, all right, that's it. I just 9 points by the Chiefs. I could see outscoring them, like going nuts, and you drop 50, they drop 48 for the victory. Wow, what happened? But 9 points total?
Right. Well, okay, so I mean, Mahomes did not look like Mahomes, and then of course we learned in the middle of the game that he was playing with a pretty difficult case of the flu.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
There were a lot of turnovers. They said it like right before the game, and I didn't hear it until the game started.
Yeah, they were talking about on game day morning.
A lot of turnovers. Mahomes had 2 picks and a fumble. Valdez-Scantling and my man, former Bulldog Mecole Hardman, fumbled the ball away as well. Mecole Hardman muffed that punt. That was brutal. But I mean, you do have to credit the Broncos defense who I mean, they came to play and they were determined to finally beat Mahomes, who they have not beaten since he came into the league. 13 games, I think.
16.
No, but that's the Chiefs in general. I think Mahomes, they haven't beaten. I don't think they've beaten the Chiefs since Alex Smith. I don't think that was the last time they beat the Chiefs.
That's embarrassing.
That's crazy. They only had 3 sacks, but they were living in the backfield. They racked up 11 QB hits. Russell Wilson did not really have an impressive game, but the turnovers meant that he didn't really have to. He was only 12 for 19, 114 yards, and 3 touchdown passes. So that kind of tells you that story.
Yeah.
It's just working with short fields. I mean, I don't put too much into this, to be honest.
No.
It's one of those things where it's like
off day. We keep making excuses when the Chiefs lose. We do that.
The reason why I can make excuses for the Chiefs when they lose is because we've seen them recover. And when you watch them win championships, you have more faith in them, I think. I just don't think of there aren't a lot of teams in the league that I think of that are capable of doing what the Chiefs can do after a difficult loss.
Yeah. What do you think about the Baltimore Ravens?
I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, they win this game 31-24. Kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
They obviously, gave up more points than you would expect.
So true.
I mean, the defense is going up against the Cardinals, for Christ's sakes, but really more, I'm talking about the way they won, with Lamar playing more like a true pocket passing quarterback. Very little scrambling, very few design runs. He was just standing in the pocket, finding open receivers and handing the ball off to Gus Edwards, who had, 80 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. It didn't look like the Baltimore Ravens to me, in a way, because it looked.
Seems that they're evolving into more passing. You know what I mean? It's just different. It's not as power. It's not as much power behind it. It's turning into a more finesse team on offense.
Yeah, it feels less creative to me, but I mean, whatever. They still put up 31 points, so that's that's good. It's hard to complain about it, but it's like, Mark Andrews caught a touchdown because he always catches a touchdown. I mean, the Cardinals, put up a fight, scoring like 17 points in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't really enough to overcome Joshua Dobbs' 2 touchdown and 2 interception day, especially when both of those picks led directly to Ravens.
Yep.
Or not directly, but
touchdown.
indirect. It led to touchdowns. The Ravens defense looked great until the fourth quarter. My man, former Bulldog Roquan Smith, was balling. I mean, the Cardinals only had 7 points going into the fourth quarter, so that's. I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter. Maybe the Ravens took their foot off the gas. I'm not really sure, but
Definitely.
I mean, good job by the Cardinals to make it interesting. But it's obviously just, I don't know. It's too little, too late. Kyler Murray is coming back. Probably, I don't know if he's coming back next week or the week after, but I don't know. He'll be back.
Is he going to be an improvement?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. Yeah, I do. I really do. I really do think he'll be an improvement.
I don't know. I've been out on that guy for a while.
I think he's hard to game plan for. You know what I mean? I think he's hard to game plan for like half a year. He usually puts in half a season.
Oh, yeah. He also had the worst coach in a while.
That was also Cliff Kingsbury, too. He's also the half-season guy. I don't know.
So maybe that was
Anyway, on to the next game. Look at my chops to talk about the 49ers losing to the Cincinnati Bengals 31-17. Joe Burrow was damn near perfect, throwing 4 incomplete passes all night. 4.
Wow.
That's it. But with the game in reach in the second half, Purdy fumbled the ball away and threw 2 critical picks that allowed the Bengals to silence the San Francisco home crowd and walk out of this with a pretty comfortable victory, actually.
Yeah, man. I got a question for you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. It's now time for our weekly question of the episode. How is this loss Kyle Shanahan's fault? Skif, how is this loss Kyle Shanahan's fault?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question, John. The Bengals have won 4 of their last 5, while the 49ers are now on a 3-game losing streak.
Oh.
So I would like to turn the question around and ask you, it's a 2-parter. A, is Kyle Shanahan a fraud? And B, is Zach Taylor the real boy genius that we should all be talking about?
I would say Kyle Shanahan is a really good coach, and Zach Taylor is not. I'll still stand on that. That's all I gotta say about that.
Okay, fine. Well, I will say this. 49ers, 3 weeks in a row, putting up only 17 points. And
really?
Now they limp into their bye week, having just dropped the division lead to the Seattle Seahawks.
Limp is a good word. Limp is a good word.
And they're not looking as nearly unstoppable as they were in the beginning of the season. And also, if we're talking about Kyle Shanahan's fault, what the fuck is he doing in the fourth quarter? You're losing 31-17. You're not going to win this game. It's late in the game. And your best player, Christian McCaffrey, you continue to put him in harm's way. And you wonder why the 49ers, year after year, are the team that's always dealing with these fucking key injuries. It's like, this guy's a fucking idiot. He's an absolute idiot. But that being said, shout out to McCaffrey, obviously, for tying the record for most consecutive games with a touchdown. That's 17 games. It's a record set in 1964 by the late, great Baltimore Colt, Lenny Moore. Never heard of him.
Damn, never heard of him.
Never heard of him. But he scored 17 games in a row. And I guess McCaffrey will break that record in 2 weeks when they come back from bye. But yeah, I mean,
good.
I say this, Bengals, Bengals looked, Joe Burrow specifically, this was the first game I saw where I was like, okay, he's fine. Especially on there was that play, it was like 3rd and 9, right? He drops back to pass, and he's like, oh, green grass, baby, I'm taking it. That was not happening 2 weeks ago. That might not have happened a week.
What about the one when they grabbed him in the backfield and he rips out of the sack, pulls to the right, scrambles, throws it head into the sidelines, and the guy catches it for the first down? It's like
also great. He had several plays in this game that made you say, okay, you know what? this is going to get scary. This is the Bengals we thought we were going to get this year. And I, for one, am kind of, I don't know, I'm here for it. I think it's fun. Especially when it comes at the expense of a loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Or not, again, 49ers, if we have 49ers fans who listen to this, I don't dislike you at all. I actually have very warm feelings from the Joe Montana era. I kind of like the 49ers. I just don't like your coach because I think he's an arrogant piece of shit who doesn't know how to take credit when he fucks shit up. So fuck the guy. Hate him. Absolutely hate him.
Damn, man.
Fuck that guy.
All right, we got the final game that we're going to cover in this episode. We're going to do the Monday night game in the next episode because I'm going to be traveling and stuff. So the final game we'll cover is the Chargers and the Bears, man. I gave the Chargers no respect, and they came out and they smacked the shit out of the Bears. And I should have known it. As I watched the game, I was like, of course this is happening. Of course.
Yeah. But I feel like that's what it's like to watch Chargers games every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no matter what happens, you're like, of course.
No, of course they're losing, or of course they're winning. They have all these good players; they should win.
Right.
You know what I mean? You should beat bad teams. I kind of thought the Bears would be a tough matchup for the Chargers because the Bears, again, you can't trust them either. But they ran the ball so well last week with Deontay Foreman, and the Chargers are not known for having a very good run defense. But again, to me, these are two teams that you just cannot trust. You can't trust what they are. You can't trust what they're supposed to be good at. I mean, when Herbert is on one, I don't give a shit about the Bears, to be honest with you. I actually kind of have some feelings for the Chargers because I really like Justin Herbert. And when he's on one, man, that guy, that dude can grip it, and he can grip it and rip it with the best of them. I mean, he's 31 for 40, nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game. He's so much fun to watch when this team is functioning. I mean, Eckler, Jesus Christ, Austin Eckler had 94 yards receiving and a touchdown.
He had a 70-something yard catch on a little swing route, and he just took it all the way. It was kind of a screen because they had the lineman leak out and just plow the way for him. So I was watching in a bar, and I was waiting to go on at a comedy. The comedy club was upstairs over a bar, so I was like watching this game next to a Bears fan who was just like, "Well, we're losing again."
In a way, I'm kind of glad this happened to the Bears because I mean, look, the whole Tyson Bagent thing that happened last week. The backup quarterback has to play, and it's like, who are we kidding? Deontay Foreman did all the work last week. Tyson Bagent just happened to be the guy standing under center. I think this allows the Bears to kind of get real for a minute and realize, like, okay, you need to wait for Justin Fields to come back. You need to keep developing him to see if you can make something work with him, and then you've got all these choice draft picks coming up in the draft, and you can make your decision there. But Tyson Bagent is not.
Ain't it?
He's not what you're looking for.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's all of our games. And now it's time for superlatives. I'm going to start with the real MVP. Because, of course, my real MVP is Will Levis for this week. I also want to throw an honorable mention out there before I get into this, because what A.J. Brown's doing is historic. It's special.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I got to give that as an honorable mention. But Will Levis, man, what a debut. He was 19-29, 238 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, QB rating in his first game, 130.5. And he said himself, this is a dream come true. And I get that. You've been thinking about this your entire life, and you finally get it. Normally, you get out of there in that dream, and it turns into a nightmare when people start chasing you around. But it didn't happen like that for him. He took some hits. He stood in there. He made some big boy throws. He looked the part, passed the eye test for me. I saw one shot on the sidelines of Ryan Tannehill pumping him up after a touchdown. And it was good to see the potential passing of the torch from Tannehill to this guy. Maybe Tannehill will be a Viking soon. Who knows? I I know it's just one game, and he'll have some growing pains, but you got to give it to the rookie. He stepped up, led his team to a victory. So for me, Will Levis.
You the real MVP.
Yeah, you and me are on the same page. I got Titans rookie QB, who I did not expect much from, but he absolutely blasted my Atlanta Falcons. And while that may not be a very convincing idea, beating the very unstable Falcons, Levis did something in this game that only 2 other quarterbacks have ever done in NFL history by throwing 4 touchdown passes in his professional debut. Okay? The first quarterback to do this was my man, former Bulldog, Fran Tarkington, who did it back in the early 1960s as a Viking. And you will never guess who the other quarterback is who did this.
Mitch Trubisky?
Marcus Mariota?
No way.
Marcus Mariota?
Yes. Marcus Mariota threw 4 touchdowns in his debut as a Titan versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 2015. So you got one guy in Fran Tarkington, who's a Hall of Famer, and then you got Marcus Mariota, definitely not a Hall of Famer, right? So which direction does Will Levis's career go in? I have absolutely no idea. But for this performance and for doing something that only 2 other dudes have managed to do in NFL history, I have no choice but to award him the Week 8 MVP.
You the real MVP.
All right. Who's your trash of the week?
He's top 5 in sacks. He's top 5 in picks. And he's top 5 in fumbles.
Damn. Ooh,
he has thrown as many touchdowns as interceptions. His QBR rating is a sub 40.
Oh.
And I'm beyond tired of having to put my hopes and desires into watching this man lead my team to fall flat on their faces every week. Desmond Ridder cannot read defenses properly. He cannot evade pressure at all. His instincts in the pocket are shit. I realize that he has some moments where he looks like he's capable of putting the team on his back, but even then it happens in a game where he's already thrown 3 fucking picks. I've given this dude all the rope I got, but at this point, I'm 100% done. I do not want Desmond Ridder to be my quarterback, nor do I want him to be anyone's quarterback. Like, really, I wouldn't wish this upon a single team in the NFL. This guy should go play in the USFL or Canada or some other fucking place because he's just a giant pile of steaming trash. I'm over it. Get him out of my life.
You are trash!
Damn, spoken like a true fan. Brian Daboll was the talk of the league last year. He had fixed Daniel Jones, gotten his team into the playoffs in his first year, and now we're in a sophomore slump, maybe? At least Giants fans should hope it's a slump. All season, we've been seeing him turning pink on the sidelines as his team makes a bunch of mistakes that a well-coached team shouldn't make. We watched him blame quarterbacks and receivers and defenders and referees. We've also seen pretty much every team adopt their version of the Eagles' tush-push / brotherly shove play on 4th and short. And on this nasty, rainy day, Daboll decides to kick a field goal to go ahead 6 points and give the ball to the Jets instead of dialing up a tush-push type play to win it. That play, not to lose, backfired when the kicker missed a kick and the Jets got a spark and kicked a game-tying field goal only to pull out the victory in overtime. I've been giving Daboll the side eye since he tried to throw Tyrod Taylor under the bus for his late-game audible to a run, as if he couldn't have told him, no matter what, don't audible to a run. That's not the stuff of leadership, and players pick up on that. Daboll needs to take a good look in the mirror right now. Nobody thinks that loss is on anybody but him right now. So this week, Mr. Daboll.
You are trash!
That's a good one.
My shit got learned. Its fan loyalty is bizarre. I sat in a bar to watch the games here in Austin. It was fun. It was nostalgic. My homie Marco, I've been friends with him since we got our entry briefing in Turkey together, and I finally got to link back up with him because he lives in San Antonio. Shout out to Marco. We had some wings, we had some chips and dip, and we had some football. It was nice. My game was playing on the screen next to the Jets and Giants game, and there was a Giants fan next to me and a Jets fan in front of me, and they watched the game with an intensity that was not deserved. Both teams flopped and stumbled around the field for the entire game in a comical fashion that made me feel bad for these fans that had to be subjected to this mess while exciting games played on pretty much every other screen in the bar. While they punt 24 times. These guys stayed locked in and yelled at the TV after every boneheaded play, and there were plenty. New York is always going to be a major market in the U.S. because it's such a popular city, and I know the league wants them to be good, but it's just not the case right now. It's a little glimmer of fairness in this unfair world, actually, that New York sucks at football. You got the glitz and glamour of Times Square and the Empire State Building and big money TV deals, but the team in Jacksonville can kick your ass. Yet and still, there are diehard fans getting their blood pressure up every single week for this mess. Fan loyalty is bizarre.
It's true. It's bizarre and it's dumb. Speaking of that, did you see that picture that's going around of Saquon Barkley leaving the stadium with his dad, who's wearing a Jets jersey?
No, that's funny.
Apparently, his dad has always been a diehard Jets fan, and Saquon gave it to him as a birthday present, like before he was a Giant. I think it's a Joe Namath jersey. Joe Namath.
Okay.
But it's just funny because everyone on the internet has a take about it. Like, how could you wear that jersey when your son plays for the Giants? It's like,
well, shut up.
Man, leave that man alone.
Yeah, that guy could get traded any day.
If my son played for the Saints, I would show up in my Falcons jersey, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So shut up. That doesn't change my allegiance to my child or my team.
Yeah, exactly.
Separate the two, you fucking idiots.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I learned is that I think the NFL needs to institute like a separate salary cap for backup quarterbacks. Because
I like this.
Honestly, what are we doing here? I mean, starting quarterbacks are dropping like flies, and we're being subjected to like the Tony DeVitos of the world. This is not how I want the rest of the season to play out. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, and also, I mean, they need to get better at evaluating their quarterbacks. In what universe, after what we just saw of Will Levis, in what universe is Will Levis worse than Malik Willis? Are you fucking kidding me? What? How is that? I mean, he was the third string quarterback. I mean, honestly, like there has to be. I feel like the whole backup quarterback thing needs to and maybe there needs to be some kind of like financial incentive for it, and this is what I mean by this, like separate salary cap for it. But I just feel like backup quarterback cannot be an afterthought. Like, it needs to be like, it's sort of like when remember back in the day when your car had like an actual spare tire?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And now it's now the fucking spare tire is like a bike wheel or some shit. It's like, no. Yeah. Hey, I don't want to see the rest of the NFL season play out with all these fucking spare tires fucking laying around playing shitty football. I want good fucking quarterbacks. So yeah, that's what I learned.
One problem with that is that in the top 32 quarterbacks in the world is Zach Wilson is a starting quarterback on the team. I guess he's a backup, but you know what I'm saying? Like, once the drop off after the current top players is so big that even if you had this salary cap, what do you mean? I know, but that's stow away a really good quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like
the money doesn't make them better like that. Yeah,
but the money does get you to, like, I mean, I mean, you got like when I don't even remember his name now, but the guy who came in to play for Kirk Cousins, I'm like, who?
Yeah.
Never heard of this guy ever. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And the same thing with Tony DeVito. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I get he's technically a third string quarterback, so that makes a little more sense because Tyrod's the backup. But I just feel like, you know, there has to be better players out there that can slot in to play behind.
You think they're not on those teams because it will cost too much? Like, who's not playing that should be there? Like, or Carson Wentz, you mean, should be like on some team as a backup, making $8 million a year? You think something like that would make more sense?
It's kind of hard actually because I think the big problem is that you don't play that many games in a season, so you can't. The way it works in the NHL is that like most NHL teams have like a really good backup goaltender.
Okay.
Because they play 82 games, and you're not. Most teams have gotten to the point where they're like, okay, one guy's going to play 70% of the games, and the other guy's going to play the other 30. But we don't like. We want to go get a good guy. You know what I mean? We're not out here trying to lose those 30% of our games. Like we want a guy who can win those games. So it's a little different in that sense. But I just wish there was some way to create that type of equivalency in the NFL. It's just a shame that it's such a huge drop off from starter to backup.
Yeah, it's a shame. AFC team, who you got? Scariest AFC team?
For me, it's a toss up between your Dolphins and the suddenly ascending Cincinnati Bengals, who are really starting to look like a championship caliber football team. I mean, it might be a little too early to get that excited about the Bengals, but if this is who they are, you know.
But they are who we thought they were.
They'd be scary to play against, I think.
I'm going with the Ravens, man.
Okay.
Like they're the scariest team, man. Yeah. They got a run game, too. I feel like the Bengals, if they get their run game right, the Bengals could be a little more scary. And they got Anarumo. Anarumo.
Yeah, the Bengals defense has been balling lately.
Yeah. NFC team, I'm going to say the Eagles tentatively. They didn't impress that much, but they pulled it out, and that's all you got to do, man. So I got to go with the Eagles for now. I haven't seen the Lions this week.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing in kind of a similar tone. Obviously, the Lions, like you said, they're off this week. The Cowboys looked amazing this week, but, you know, as always, I need to see them do that week after week before I can think about putting them in front of the Eagles. So,
and as far as putting some spec on, I'm putting some spec on the Denver Broncos, man. They had a 16-game losing streak to the Chiefs. They were probably in everybody's parlay as a can't-miss loss to the Chiefs. They gave up 70 points this season, not too long ago. All signs pointed to a dumpster fire. The fan base and analysts all looking towards the draft. We all thought Russell Wilson and Sean Payton were done. They can't function together. There was no respect left for this troubled team. But any given Sunday is real. They stepped up and repeatedly punched the Chiefs in the mouth over and over and over and over.
Over and over and over and over and over and.
So that's what they did. Even throughout the game, we all thought Denver's going to figure out a way to lose, while Mahomes and company figure out a way to win, but it never happened. Denver got the victory, a convincing victory, and we all need to
put some respect on my name.
Yep. You beat the champs. You deserve some respect.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to go with a 34-year-old wide receiver who was supposed to be all washed up with nothing more left to give, catching a game-winning touchdown in 2023 for one of the best teams in the NFL. I'm talking about my man, former Falcon, Julio Jones. And yes, his glory days are obviously behind him. The Eagles already have A.J. Brown, who we have already established is like an alien from outer space. They've got Devontae Smith, who's also good at catching these uncatchable balls. We know they got championship bulldogs galore all over the field. But to suggest that my guy, Julio, can't still strike fear in the hearts of DBs while climbing the ladder and mossing a dude to haul in a game-winning touchdown. Now that is disrespectful. You watch. If the Eagles make it all the way to the Super Bowl and put a ring on this man's finger, all will be right with the world, and everyone in the NFL media universe will be putting some spec on my guy Julio's name.
Put some respect on my name.
I can't argue with that. Not surprised at all. Nobody's surprised at all. All right, well, that's it. We're going to be back soon. We're going to talk about the Monday night game, and we're going to make some predictions and whatnot in the next episode. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for listening to SveNFL. Always a pleasure. I hope your team did well. I hope you feel good about your team. I don't know. Just don't fuck with my team. My team's my team, all right? We'll catch y'all later. It's been Jonathan Rollins.
Skip me, sorry.
With SveNFL. Peace.
Later, y'all.